this shit, bro. Ah!
Welcome to Hitman Boxing. Hit that like and subscribe button. You know, I don't know how many times this has to be explained. Eddie Hearn, we're going to talk about his role in the future Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder fight, because the fight will happen eventually, okay? But you have to ask yourself a question. What is Eddie Hearn's role in this fight? What is his purpose? His purpose is to promote the fight. So he could make the fight next between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. It's a big fight. It's a big fight right now. But if we talk summer 2018, near the end of 2018, it's an even bigger fight, given his track to that fight, or path to that fight, I should say, right? Deontay Wilder is going to be fighting Stavern next month, or November, excuse me. Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Carlos Takam, right? Now, we do expect both of these guys to win their fights, and most of the boxing community online is pushing for Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder next. So we're talking like February, right? I mean, Eddie Hearn said that Anthony Joshua will be back in some point in February, right? So the fight could be made then, right? But is it really as big as it can be? I mean, Eddie Hearn's primary role is, again, to make the fight as big as it can be, and to make Anthony Joshua a ton of money, and to also make himself a ton of money. And by doing both of these things, he allows Wilder to make a large sum of money. Now, Eddie Hearn, his thought process was have Deontay Wilder come over to the UK and fight Dillian Whyte. Expose Deontay Wilder to the UK crowd. Now Eddie Hearn seems to think that Dillian Whyte can beat Deontay Wilder. I think Deontay Wilder knocks Dillian Whyte out. I think he's more of a measuring stick for Deontay Wilder to see if he does better than Anthony Joshua did. We see this happen all the time in boxing, okay? People fight other people's leftovers all the time. And we measure, you know, what that second person does to that opponent. We kind of gauge where that person's at, or we compare and contrast, right? So Deontay Wilder goes to the UK, and of course, Deontay Wilder, now it's about the money, right? Now he says he wants $7 million to fight Dillian Whyte, when a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't about the money, it was about legacy. But at the end of the day, going over to the UK to fight Dillian Whyte will allow him to make the biggest payday of his career. And let's not act like Deontay Wilder doesn't need any money. And I'm not saying he's broke, obviously. He's got money, but, I mean, he had to pay that step-aside money to Stavern, right? I don't think that money got refunded, dog. I really don't think, though. I really don't think so. Damn, what am I saying? But, yeah, that money didn't get refunded. So, what, is he making $1 million to fight Stavern for a second time? A fight that nobody's really interested in? I mean, at least he's staying busy, right? And, you know, I predict him to unleash hell on Stavern and knock him out. At least get a couple of knockdowns. The guy hasn't fought in years. So I think he's food for Deontay Wilder, okay? So Deontay Wilder beats Stavern, goes to the UK, gets that UK exposure, fights Dillian Whyte. Now imagine Deontay Wilder beating Dillian Whyte, knocking this guy out, and doing it in a more impressive fashion than Anthony Joshua did, right? Now, if that happens, people will give you props. People will give you credit. Nobody's stupid, all right? You get full credit, and you build more interest for the Joshua-Wilder fight. Now, Eddie Hearn is saying that Anthony Joshua's next fight could potentially be in the United States. Now, what does that do for Anthony Joshua? That raises his profile over in the United States, right? So we'll say he gets another mandatory over in maybe Vegas. You know, a place Deontay Wilder doesn't frequent too much because he's not a big enough name. That's my only stab. That's the only stab I'll take at Wilder this video. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Okay? So he comes over to the U.S., fights a mandatory, fights somebody, raises his profile, right? Now what? Now we have both of these guys on a collision course. The fight has been hyped up more so in the media that actually matters, television, and not online. We can make video after video after video, and they can get a couple thousand, 3,000, 5,000 views. But at the end of the day, if the casuals ain't paying attention, then it doesn't really matter. Right? Now, at this point, we have these two guys pegged to fight each other in the UK because Anthony Joshua is the A side for life and Deontay Wilder is the B side for life. So the fight profile has been raised after both of these scenarios takes place. And now what we have is a mega fight. We have a huge fight. It's already a huge fight now, but is there something wrong with the fight being bigger? Is there something wrong with wanting to make money? I mean, Anthony Joshua's getting $20 million to fight Takam, right? Like, come on, bro, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to fight an opponent his caliber. And I'm not saying Carlos Takam is a bad fighter. It should be an interesting fight, mainly because Carlos Takam was on standby, right? He had been training for the possibility that Joshua, or rather Pulev, would pull out of that fight. And it just so happens that Pulev pulled out of the fight due to an injury, right? So he's been training and preparing for Joshua while Joshua was preparing for Pulev, right? So this fight's going to be interesting because it's somewhat short notice for Joshua, where you have a guy in Carlos Takam who's a solid opponent, been in there with some good opponents, got some good work in with Joseph Parker, and now you have an active underdog. All right, so it should make for an interesting fight. And Stavern Wilder too should be interesting for as long as it lasts. I don't think it's going to go past 5 or 6 rounds. But anyway, we're getting a little off topic. Wilder, Joshua, UK in the summer. Isn't that a huge fight? Everybody gets what they want. Wilder gets to fight Joshua. Joshua gets paid. Eddie Hearn gets paid. And then we can see who the best heavyweight is in the division. Right? Make no mistake about it. And Eddie Hearn just mentioned this. Joseph Parker and Joshua is not a bigger fight than Wilder, Joshua. All right? It is what it is. And it has nothing to do with his resume either. But we're not gonna get into that right now. But again, Eddie Hearn is making a lot of sense. It's very logical. Who doesn't want to make money? Deontay Wilder's pretend like you don't want to make no money. I don't get it. I don't get it. You say it's about legacy, but was it about legacy 30 fights ago? Was it about legacy 20 fights ago? 10 fights ago? Granted, I can't get on him because, you know, every step-up fight, Povetkin, Ortiz, they've all fallen through because the opponents were dirty, man. They had to juice up. I get it. I understand. It's not your fault, Wilder. But it doesn't change the fact that you still don't have a good, like, you don't have a big name on your resume. Stavern is the best name on your resume. And that's not really saying much, man. Like, real talk, it's not. I mean, look. Again, I don't fault Wilder for not fighting Ortiz or Povetkin. That was on them. But the fact still remains. You don't have that marquee name on your resume. You don't have a Klitschko. You don't have a Dillian White on your resume. So that's all I'm saying. Why is it all of a sudden about legacy right now? Why does it matter? Well, legacy matters, of course. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, why is it about legacy now when you got 38 fights, dog? Like 37 knockouts, 38 fights. I mean, you wasn't talking like this 10 fights ago. Who was you fighting 10 fights ago? I could go to your box rec right now and start naming off dudes, and nobody's going to know who they are. Why is that? Why have you accomplished so little in like double the fights as Anthony Joshua? Even Big Baby Miller is on his way to having a better resume to you than you. I don't know. I don't get it, man. I just, you know, Deontay Wilder talks about people don't support him in the United States, like, or Americans don't support American fighters. I support American fighters all the time. All the time, trust me. And if you were to fight Anthony Joshua, I'd probably ride with you. I'm probably going to ride with you to win the fight. But you got to stop being on this BS, man. You got to stop pretending, man. Stop lying and stop just whining and crying on your Instagram and your Twitter, man. Like, I respect what Deontay Wilder does outside the ring, especially when it comes to like civil rights issues in America. I really stand by him and what he says when it comes to things like that. But when we talking boxing, man, it's about boxing. You know, it's about boxing and nothing else. So just wait, man. That's all you got to do. You're going to get the fight. You already said it yourself. You're not about to age. So what's the big deal? Just get some money along the way to get in that fight with Joshua. Fight Dillian Whyte. Knock him out. I think you can knock him out. I think that's easy work. It's good money. It's a good name on the resume. And if you beat him better than Anthony Joshua did, then the UK fans are going to be like, oh, man, Joshua better watch out. Oh, we can't wait to see this Joshua Wilder fight. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. It just seems to make sense to me. But one thing I will say, if Eddie Hearn is promising, and I've heard a lot of other channels discuss this, if Eddie Hearn is promising Joshua after White, why doesn't he have Wilder sign a contract just like as a guarantee that he'll get Joshua next? I think that's a good point. And that's something to talk about, something to think about. So let me know what you guys think. Hitman Boxing. Drop a comment, like the video, subscribe. I'm out.